We gotta rush them. We gotta kick them. What we gotta do is get in and get the. All right, let's go. Come on now. Hey, we'll put the bass on.
Well. Here we are back again. Let me see. Where do we want to start on this auspicious Thursday where the Giants are either going to look 10 million times worse than what they did in their previous 4 games, or make it 5, because I'll even include the barely won by the skin of our teeth thing with the Chargers. And that was the defense that put us on the map. Excuse me, I'm enjoying a delicious cup of tea. If only miracles could happen. If only the New York Giants would decide to be the team that they could be. They have the talent for the most part. The question is, will the coaching wake up? Will the team follow the fundamentals of moving a ball from one side to the other, depending on where you're at, cradling the ball? At all times, ball security is paramount. That is the goal of the game, to take the ball, matriculate it down the field, and score a touchdown. You can't do it without the ball. You can't do it without ball security. These are things they teach you in Pop Warner, guys, and you guys are in the pros. So now, as we become more and more, again, the laughing stock of the New York Giants, in the last 10 years, only one other team has more overall losses in X amount of games. The Jets have 107, the Giants have 100. They're across the hallway from each other. A battle of shit-stained, bad decisions, garbage fucking product given out to one of the most intensely intense areas of the United States in terms of the people in New Jersey, the people in New York, the people on the island, even the people that a lot of people don't realize there's some enclaves that are north of the city. You got Scarsdale and Westchester and Yonkers and all these areas, all repping the New York Giants. You got people, because Connecticut doesn't have shit, doesn't have baseball, doesn't have football. It's got some semi-pro shit going on there. But there's people in Connecticut walking around with Giants gear. And it's extremely hard to wear Giants gear when you look like dog shit year after year after year after year. And there's always a bullshit excuse. Well, you've run out of excuses. Now's the time to show and prove. So let's get to my list here. First of all, before I really dig into the Giants, I want to deal with some of the goings-ons around the NFL. Now, I have yet to watch what occurred with the run. All I saw was the image, little video of the running back for the Arizona Cardinals in the game, running, broke away, massive run, 70, 80-yard run, and he just drops the ball just before his foot crosses the white line. It's a live ball. The opposing team recovers. Escapes in my mind who they were playing in this particular game. They end up losing the game. But the big thing was that the coach hit the guy. How that looked or the way that looked, I didn't see the video of that to see what occurred. But, in this day and age of, oh my God, oh, this and that. I'm of two camps. Obviously, this is a grown man and you're at your job. And if you make a mistake, no one comes up and fucking hits you. Or that shouldn't happen. All right? You could get yelled at on the sideline. What were you thinking? more often than not, it's nothing that you can do about it. The guy's ripping himself apart for making such a dumbass mistake. And hopefully, and this is how you learn about anything in life, you make a mistake and you try to correct it, right? So I'm quite sure this young man is giving himself enough shit as it is. But there seems to be a little bit of stuff brewing. You know, sometimes people just want to throw some shit against the fan and then see it blow back and see what sticks in terms of, oh, this coach should be censored. He should be fired. No, he shouldn't put his hands on there. Oh, it's racism. More than likely, at this point in time, I'm going to say this guy was really upset because this was a win. That guy scores that touchdown. It's basically over with for them, you know. And Arizona has some good stuff going on, but that was a tough one, all right? So you got that. Then you got the Browns. What can we say about the Browns? I mean, the reason why they're getting all the attention is because of Shedeur and everything that's happened with him. I watched the encapsulated version of Dylan playing. It ended up being a loss. You know, Dylan's a good player. You know, I don't have anything against the kid. I just personally think that overall, Shedeur is the better player. You know, I could be wrong, but both of them have a lot to learn as rookies. And I was laughing because on Pat McAfee's show, and I really love the whole team, the whole crew of people, and the way that the synergy amongst them, and the fact that he takes care of so many guys and has, you know, secured this big bag from ESPN, has said a couple of controversial things and managed to dodge the sports media and still keep things going. Threw that ESPN executive under the bus, which from what I understand, he richly deserves because he's one of those ESPN guys, people that make, God knows, 600,000, 700,000, 1.2 million, and whatever position you got, and you don't know shit from Shinola. You know what I mean? But you're there. You know, you're a director of so-and-so operations or programming or whatever the fuck that you do, pushing a pencil behind a desk. But anyway, they were talking, and one of the guys on the team of guys for the show said that, oh yeah, they want to send old boy, their senior man there, to Cincinnati, right? Joe Flacco, right? So now they want to send Joe Flacco to Cincinnati, and the guy says, I think I heard Joe say, he said that Joe's going to get to practice, see that this offensive line is not going to protect him at all, and he's going to say, you know what, I'm good. Because Joe was sitting on his couch watching TV, and they pulled him off the couch, I think now, over the last 5 or 6 years, Joe Flacco has been pulled off the couch, I think 3 times. All right? So that's pretty crazy. And speaking of that, was watching a little bit of a thing with Cam Newton. And Cam Newton was talking about how he doesn't have any money. Well, you use the Google thing, and it says, Cam Newton, what is his valuation now? What is he worth? And it said between 50 and $75 million. I hope that's the case. He has something to show for it. He made $113 million, but he also took on 2 kids that were not his own and adopted them. Plus, he has 6 other children. I think it's 8 in all. So, you got work to do. Yeah. I was reading the comments, and one guy said he could have saved some money if he didn't buy all these fucked up hats, but whatever. He has a unique sartorial style. All right, I'll give him that. They have him on ESPN, and I think it's more for comic relief and being over the top than really saying things of real purchase and real something you could really, say, oh wow, that's a really good big point. But I mean, now it's kind of hard to find that on any sports media. Stephen A. opens his mouth 87% of the time, I don't listen to what the fuck he says. So, but mentioning that, that's on my list here. You know, you have this whole thing about Molly Qerim, and you know, they put women on the show so they can be eye candy. But what has happened is you got women who are athletes in their own area, and they're also extremely knowledgeable about the particular sports they're covering and sports in general. I never felt that Molly was so much that person. I could be wrong, but more often than not, I felt like she was kind of like a mediator and a proctor to the show between Skip and Shannon, and not so much actually inputting data or information. All right. Now, the word on the street is that the beautiful Amina Smith is going to take over Molly's position. And I think you're going to get the best of both worlds. You're going to get a woman who is incredibly beautiful, but also extremely knowledgeable about what is taking place. And if they can create a nice energy in the studio, I think Molly is very much going to be yesterday's news. But the word on the street is that Molly has a contract with NBC Sports. So, hey, you know what? I wish her the very best. You know, I felt like Joy Taylor for everything that went on in the studio and all the funny business that might have been taking place. I found that her takes a lot of times were very good takes, and I enjoyed her. I enjoyed her beauty, and I would love to see her back in some area of sports reporting because I think she's good at it. And as a sister that does the NBA, I can't think of her name, but she is just amazing. This is a woman that seriously has her facts in line and really brings a certain way of thinking about certain individuals. You know, in the world of our space of, you know, men and women and their opinions, I find that sometimes there's a certain kind of thinking that women have that is intrinsically different from men in thinking about particular details of what's taking place in front of them as they watch sports, and then what their analysis is. And a lot of times there is a take that comes from quote unquote a female perspective that can be very interesting. So, you know, you don't want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, as they say. You know, you want to let everybody's opinions float around in there and want to deal with data, want to deal with details and facts. It's a data-driven analysis is a part of it, but also there are inflections about people's tendencies, their personality differences, or how they get along and how they gel as a team, and how teams succeed to make it to the playoffs. And then ultimately what everyone wants to do, no matter what discipline, no matter if it's the NBA, the WNBA, whatever it is, people are trying to make it to a championship and get that beautiful championship ring. So that's what I want to say about her. Okay, my other thing is Odell without the smell. Odell is at the end of his career, but Odell could be a real asset to us, especially with the fact that Slayton is not playing. And when he is playing, he's still not playing. So I would say that if you can get Odell on some short yardage passes and get him signed up and bring him in there, get his physical going, I don't think that's a bad move. And he's more mature now than I think he's ever been. I did see where he's on in the Pivot, which is a really great show with Ryan Clark, Fred Taylor. I can't think of the other guy's name, but all of them players, and they always have some very good and interesting conversation. And Odell is in one of their recent ones talking about how he had to look himself in the mirror and take accountability for his behavior and ridiculous bullshit he used to do. And I think this would be a perfect way to end in a nice way the love affair The Giants have. I'm just ambivalent because I want Joe Schoen and Brian Daboll's fucking gone. I want them gone like yesterday's news, no matter what happens. But at the same time, I want, as a fan and as a person who loves the Giants and has been 45 years of New York football Giants, I want to see them win some fucking games too. And it'd be nice if Odell could come in and help us to get a few wins, or at least be competitive at this point. All right. Here's the other thing that's also in the media. Saquon has a documentary on Netflix, and apparently he was more or less working on it, what seems like, for the last 5 or 6 years. All right, so that's why he was a Giant. And in it, they talk about how he asked John Mara for a release to go out and shop him around in 23. And apparently he was told no. Now, already a little bit of controversy is brewing on what was actually said. But the one thing that we can all hang our hats on is what was done to him and what we saw on Hard Knocks. And if you did not see that, I would beg you that if you're a fan of the NFL and a fan of watching how stupid the Giants can be, and still are, you'll want to watch Hard Knocks with the New York Giants from last year that really paints the picture of how stupid fucking Joe Schoen is. And again, I said it in my last show and I'll say it again. Saquon could have been taken care of. He could have finished his career as a New York Giant, and Philadelphia would not have had a Super Bowl. It might have went to Washington because Washington was only one game away. I feel like I could live with that a little bit more than Philadelphia getting it in our own backyard. And our guy helping to do that with 2,000 yards, and our ex-guy coming in there and not getting anything for it. That's the stupidest fucking shit I've ever seen, bro. So, I haven't watched the documentary yet, but I just wanted to tell you guys about it. And check out the documentary. And then my final thing, getting back to what's going to happen with the Knights game. I was sitting talking to a friend this afternoon about this game and what was going to happen. He's a longtime Raiders fan, comes from Oaktown. Beautiful, beautiful brother. Shout out to my brother Calvin. What's happening, dog? Maybe we can get a win tonight through a miracle. We're going to need one. Because we've been in a decade of bitchery, of looking like dog shit. And between the Dallas Cowboys and the fucking Philadelphia Eagles, when they look at what we got going on over here, they start laughing. And hopefully, the Eagles will take this game so unseriously that we'll find a way to hang on and worm in there and get a field goal and win a close game. We're going to have to play perfect. Philadelphia has room to make mistakes. But if we can get one mistake, 2 mistakes, maybe an opportunistic sack, would love to see Kayvon Thibodeaux did what he did in his rookie year, where he had a sack and a scoop and score. The 3 S's. Sack, scoop, score. Kayvon Thibodeaux. Let's put it up to the football gods and maybe we'll get lucky. Anyway, that's all I got. I think the most likely scenario is we're going to get our asses blown out. The kid's going to throw some interceptions. They're going to opportunistically come after the football big time. So if any of you guys that play for the New York Football Giants get to hear this before game time, please, what you won't, but You know, maybe you'll feel it through the air. Hold on to the football and do your best to knock the football out of their hands. Let's try to contain Devonta Smith. Let's try to contain Goddard. And let's try to contain Saquon. And then you still got the problem of trying to contain Jalen Hurts. Just saying it out loud makes me want to go in there and heavily load up my prize picks with friggin' Philadelphia bets for tonight. But we will see. I got some more stuff to look at. Anyway, we're here. We hope for the best. New York Football Giants, I love you. It's been a rough year already, and it's probably going to get rougher before it's all over. But remember, you got Coach John Gruden out there. He had a beautiful session on his show about quarterbacks with Jackson Dart. I promise you that if you were to drop Brian Daboll right now and bring in Coach Gruden, minus all the stuff that still has not been settled with his court case with the NFL, you would have an outstanding coach that would change the mindset of everybody in that fucking room. And we could get some shit done. All right? So, John Gruden is my 1C. Spagnuolo is my 1A. My 1B is Brian Flores. And again, I would love to see Spags come in, have a 3-year contract, build something, maybe get us to a Super Bowl and a win, and then in year 4 or year 5, Brian Flores moves over from defensive coordinator and becomes the head coach. GM, Louis Riddick, my 1A. 1B, Strahan and Coughlin in a dual managerial GM relationship. These guys go back a long time, and everybody that I'm mentioning bleeds blue. So we got to think about it. Again, I wish the very best to John Mara. I hope he recovers very quickly from his illness. And I wish the very best to the Giants family and Brain Trust. Get fucking Joe Shane and fucking Brian Daboll the fuck out of here at the end of this year. And let's start fresh, but let's start fresh with some real bona fide individuals. Not some also-ran guys, not some guys that were holding the clipboard, not some other guys that were kind of doing something around people that were successful. Get the actual successful people. And right now, Brian Flores is killing it, as he did as a head coach with the Dolphins a couple of years ago when he went 0-8 and then turned around and won all of his games at the end and still got fired. How do you figure that? I don't know. But anyway, let's go New York Football Giants. Deuces.